The regular season is complete. Honors have been handed out to the game's brightest stars, but with the Super Bowl right around the corner, I'm taking a look at those who contributed but didn't get the attention they may have deserved. I'm Around the NFL writer Nick Shook, and these are my unsung heroes for the 2021 season. Baltimore lost its entire backfield before the season began, requiring GM Eric DeCosta to comb the free agent market for replacements. In stepped Devonta Freeman, a running back who hadn't done much to impress recently, but found himself with an opportunity. Freeman capitalized, rushing for 576 yards and posting his best per-carry average with at least 100 attempts since 2017. Freeman's far from the Pro Bowl talent he was in Atlanta, but he can still contribute and played an important part in Baltimore's banged-up offense in 2021. Let the record show I made this choice before Gabriel Davis exploded for 4 touchdowns in the divisional round. Having said that, his performance was a perfect example of how important he was to the Bills this season. The second-year wideout posted nearly identical stats in 2020 and 2021 in a stacked receiving core that also included Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders, among others. He's an ideal target for the big arm of Josh Allen, catching 10 touchdown passes of 10-plus air yards this season, and finishing second to only Cincinnati's big play star, Ja'Marr Chase. Look, folks, there's more than just Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in Western New York, and his name is Gabriel Davis. Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins rightfully receive most of the attention among Cincinnati's pass catchers, but Tyler Boyd can't be ignored. The sixth-year pro has been a crucial part of Cincinnati's passing game, averaging nearly 15 yards per target since Week 7 on intermediate passes, and helping soon-to-be superstar Joe Burrow post a perfect passer rating on such targets. Boyd isn't quite as important as Chase, but he definitely deserves some recognition. The Cleveland Browns went through it offensively in 2021, operating an offense with an injured quarterback and a disgruntled receiver who eventually packed his bags for Los Angeles. But lost in the drama was the improvement of David Njoku, who might finally be living up to his first-round status. Njoku led the Browns in receiving touchdowns, caught the most passes in a season since his second NFL campaign, and set a new career high for yards per catch. The Browns depend on tight ends, and Njoku became a reliable one in 2021. Denver knows how important Tim Patrick is to its offense, and rewarded him accordingly in November with a 3-year extension. There's a good reason for keeping Patrick in the Mile High City. He finished second in receiving yards for Denver this season with 734, and he caught more touchdown passes than any other Bronco. Denver has plenty of pass-catching talent with bigger brand names, but we shouldn't overlook Tim Patrick. At 4-13 overall, the Houston Texans didn't have a ton of positive moments to cheer for in 2021. But one rookie gave the organization a reason to believe there are brighter days ahead. Davis Mills' first few professional outings were erratic, but once former coach David Culley decided to give the third-round pick the rest of the season to figure it out, he settled in and played well, posting passer ratings of 92 or better in 4 of his final 5 games. He even led them to an upset win over the Chargers in Week 16, and he just might be the future under center in Houston. Kenny Moore's 5th professional season saw him earn his first Pro Bowl selection, but he's far from a household name. That didn't matter to the defensive back in 2021, a season in which he matched his career-high marks in interceptions and passes defensed. Moore was excellent against the run as well, tying with the Chiefs' L'Jarius Sneed for the most run stuffs for a defensive back with 8. Altogether, Moore was an excellent defender, deserving of his first trip to Vegas. Jamal Agnew didn't play a full season and didn't see a massive volume of touches in 2021, but he was certainly explosive, reaching 15-plus miles per hour on 22 special teams touches. That tied him for the 12th most such occurrences in the NFL, according to Next Gen Stats. And he found the end zone in 3 different scenarios, as a rusher, a receiver, and a returner. Jamal Agnew provided sparks for the talent-poor Jaguars in a difficult season, and that is deserving of some recognition. Center is among the most important and difficult positions to play in the NFL, which makes Creed Humphrey's debut season that much more impressive. The second-round pick stepped into the role and manned it deftly from the start, earning Pro Football Focus's highest grade among all pivots. Chiefs fans can rest comfortably knowing their team has a stellar young center to snap it to Patrick Mahomes and protect the franchise for years to come. Deciding between Zay Jones and Hunter Renfrow was tough, but it's third down, and I need a completion. Time for third and Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow led the Raiders in receiving yards despite averaging just slightly over 10 yards per catch, racking up team highs in receptions and touchdowns while proving himself to be worthy of plenty of attention from Derek Carr. No player was more of an essential part of Las Vegas' 6th-ranked passing offense than Renfrow, whose route running stumps defenders and whose hands consistently help the Raiders move the chains. Jared Cook is good for an untimely drop here and there, sure, but the veteran still played a significant role for a Chargers team that fell just short of the postseason. Cook caught 48 passes for 564 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2021, his 13th NFL season. Justin Herbert had plenty of options in the passing game, as Mike Williams and Keenan Allen each broke 1,100 receiving yards, but Cook still put together a quality season at 34 years old. Emmanuel Ogbah has quietly been an important part of Miami's defense in each of the last 2 seasons. The edge rusher recorded his 2nd straight campaign with 9 sacks in 2021 to go along with 41 tackles. And he added a bit of a nose for the ball, recording a career-high 12 passes defensed. He finished 9th among edge defenders in QB pressures and is likely ready to cash in on the open market. In an offense that included Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, and Kendrick Bourne, Jakobi Meyers emerged as New England's most productive receiver in 2021, leading the Patriots with over 850 receiving yards. He proved to be a reliable target in the clutch, catching 22 passes when aligned in the slot on 3rd or 4th down this season, the 2nd highest total of such receptions in the NFL. Oh, and he finally ended his touchdown drought, scoring twice in 2021. Jakobi Meyers isn't a name you'd immediately think of when considering the Patriots, but he was an important one in Mac Jones' first professional season. The Jets struggled in 2021 for a number of reasons, but Braxton Berrios wasn't one of them. Berrios finished 5th in receiving yards among Jets pass catchers and found an important role as a gadget player down the stretch. His 2 touchdown rushes on attempts outside the tackles tied with San Francisco's Deebo Samuel for the 2nd most among receivers this season. And he also provided value in the return game, averaging 30.4 yards per kick return and picking up over 13 yards per punt return. Not a bad season for a player heading into free agency. Pat Freiermuth is the future at tight end in Pittsburgh. His first season with the Steelers was a productive one, a campaign in which the Penn State product caught 60 passes for close to 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Freiermuth sprinkled in a few highlight grabs along the way and is already drawing comparisons to Steelers hero Heath Miller. Expect his jersey to fly off the racks in the Steel City this offseason. The Titans were the only team in the NFL to have 3 defenders record 8 or more sacks each in 2021. 2 of those names, Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry, might ring a bell, but it's unlikely the average fan would be able to list Denico Autry without the help of the internet. Those watching the Titans know just how important the free agent addition was in his first season with Tennessee, a campaign in which he matched his career high in sacks while posting the 10th highest sack rate among all edge defenders. Now that is what I call a return on investment. Terrell's 2nd NFL season might have completely missed the radar of the average football fan because the Falcons, well, weren't exactly at the top of every sports talk show. That shouldn't diminish what was an excellent season for the young corner. Terrell blossomed into a shutdown corner in 2021, allowing an opposing passer rating of under 50 and a completion percentage over expected of negative 14.6. He ranked 1st in total expected points added, and his ball hawk rate flirted with 22%. Add in his 3 interceptions and 16 passes defensed, and you have a corner on the verge of becoming a household name. Another season without Michael Thomas meant the Saints had to turn elsewhere for targets in 2021. In stepped Callaway, who found a way to lead the team in receiving while also playing with 4 different quarterbacks. The 2021 season was a complicated challenge for the Saints offensively, but Callaway was a bright spot, finishing with a career-high 698 yards and 6 touchdowns in 17 games. Callaway proved to be a downfield threat, catching all 6 of his touchdowns on passes of 10-plus air yards. The Saints will still hold out hope Thomas can again be an important contributor, but when he wasn't in 2021, Callaway did a solid job of filling in. Fournette's selection isn't surprising and might not even pass the smell test for an unsung hero, but he's here because of how integral he was to the Buccaneers' offense. Fournette flourished in 2021, leading Tampa Bay in rushing and finishing 5th in receiving. His 10 total scores ranked 2nd only to Mike Evans, and his value was on full display when he wasn't on the field late in the season due to injury. Fournette returned in time for Tampa Bay's divisional round game and scored 2 touchdowns in the loss. That result shouldn't define his importance to a Buccaneers offense that, at full strength, was loaded with talent. Reddick made the move east to join the Panthers in the offseason and put together quite a first season in Charlotte, finishing with 11 sacks for his second straight season of double-digit quarterback takedowns. Playing alongside standout edge rusher Brian Burns, Reddick was a next-gen stats stud, recording a QB pressure percentage of 11.5, 12 run stuffs, 52 stops, and 1 turnover caused by pressure to go along with 68 total tackles. Reddick ranked in the top 10 among pass rushers in stops, and in the top 15 in run stuffs, putting together a season that was about more than just getting after the quarterback. Quick, without Googling it, do you know who led the Cardinals in sacks in 2021? No, it wasn't J.J. Watt, and it wasn't even Chandler Jones. That honor belonged to Golden, an overlooked rusher who finished with a team-best 11 sacks and tied for the team lead with 5 turnovers caused by pressure in 2021. The latter statistic also tied for the most by any defender in the NFL this season, yet you likely didn't hear much about Golden. That might change in 2022. Don't look now, but the Seahawks' first-round pick spent on Jordyn Brooks was well worth it. Brooks piled up an incredible 183 tackles, the second most in the NFL in 17 games in 2021, and it didn't take long when watching a Seahawks game to notice his impact. Brooks is seemingly always in the right place to make a play no matter the situation, and he finished 5th among NFL linebackers in stops. His stat line was very similar to that of lauded teammate Bobby Wagner, and he even outperformed Wagner in a couple of categories. He's another name you'll want to become accustomed to hearing, because his arrow is firmly pointed upward. Michel moved to Los Angeles via a trade the Rams made out of necessity, but it took him some time to get his feet under him in Southern California, which diluted his season-long statistics. That's not important here. Michel stepped up when it mattered most, keying a late-season run that saw the Rams overtake the Cardinals for the NFC West title. During the Rams' 5-game winning streak in weeks 13 through 17, Michel tied for first in total carries and yards per attempt, and tied for second in first downs gained. His output wasn't season-long, but it was clutch and helped the Rams get back on track. Lost in the praise for Deebo Samuel was Brandon Aiyuk's career-best season, in which he caught 56 passes for 826 yards and 5 touchdowns. Aiyuk certainly benefited from sharing a field with Samuel, but he also did his part when targeted, making both the easy and difficult grabs to help the 49ers offense keep moving. Aiyuk racked up 254 receiving yards on slant routes this season, the most in the NFL, and finished 3rd in receiving in an offense that also included Samuel and all-world tight end George Kittle. Aiyuk was challenged by his coach to be better in his second NFL season, and he certainly answered the call. Another overlooked receiver in a star-laden offense, Cedric Wilson grabbed his opportunities with the strength of a vice grip. Wilson caught 45 of his 61 targets in 2021 for 602 yards and 6 touchdowns, and twice broke 100 receiving yards in front of a national audience. Wilson doesn't get a ton of attention from opposing defenses due to the presence of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, but he filled in nicely, posting a catch rate over expected of plus 19% on targets of 10-plus air yards. That's the 3rd highest mark in the NFL. He'll likely receive a raise elsewhere this offseason. Hargrave carries with him deserved name recognition, but that doesn't exclude him from this list. The reason? His production was important to Philadelphia's chances of success, especially when Fletcher Cox struggled to get it going early in 2021. Hargrave filled that void nicely, recording 6 of his 7.5 sacks in the Eagles' first 5 games, and finishing with the 3rd most quarterback pressures among all interior defensive linemen. Philadelphia should be happy to have him as one half of a dynamite interior tandem. Chase Young and Montez Sweat received plenty of attention for their exploits, but the less glamorous interior featured a beast in Jonathan Allen. He finished 4th among interior defensive linemen with 55 quarterback pressures, recorded 9 sacks, forced 2 turnovers via pressure, and posted 8 run stuffs and 38 stops. Allen proved himself to be a reliable interior defender despite Washington's failure to live up to its sterling defensive reputation in 2021. Here's a fun trivia question to run by your pals. Who led the Giants in rushing in 2021? No, it wasn't Saquon Barkley or Devontae Booker. It was both, tied at 593 yards apiece. In a complimentary role, Booker held his own, proving to be as effective as the star Barkley despite few expectations of such production. There wasn't much to be proud of for the Giants offensively this season, but Booker can consider 2021 to be a personal success. Devondre Campbell also has a strong case for this spot, but I'm going with Rasul Douglas because of how well he performed in clutch situations. Douglas played in 12 regular season games for Green Bay this season and recorded an interception in a third of those games, finishing with 5 interceptions and returning 2 for touchdowns. Most of those picks came in key moments, denying opposing offenses chances of taking late leads and sending them home losers. Douglas also finished with the 5th highest ball hawk rate among defensive backs, and did all of this after joining the Packers only because they had a desperate need at corner. Heroic indeed. Tyler Conklin isn't a name you'd expect to hear, but he played an important role as tight end number 1 in Minnesota. In an offense that also includes Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, Conklin flirted with 600 receiving yards, caught 3 touchdowns, and proved to be a sneaky weapon in the Vikings offense, snagging 38 of his 61 receptions from a tight alignment. The total was the 3rd most such receptions among all tight ends in the NFL this season. Just when you'd expect the Vikings to hand it to Dalvin Cook, Conklin was there to make you pay. The Lions entered 2021 with what was essentially a no-name cast of receivers for Jared Goff, but the 4th-round pick from USC emerged as a legitimate weapon down the stretch. Amon-Ra St. Brown posted consecutive 100-plus yard games in his final 2 outings as part of a 90-catch, 912-yard debut that also included 5 touchdowns. Detroit didn't have a ton to be proud of in 2021, other than their scrappy nature, but the Lions have to be excited about St. Brown's potential. Darnell Mooney's 2nd season produced the jump that the Bears hoped they'd see from him. The receiver went from 61 receptions to 81 and 631 yards to 1,055 yards in 2021. He played in all 17 games, filling the void left by Allen Robinson, who missed 5 games in 2021, and he racked up his numbers while playing with 3 different quarterbacks. Most importantly, Mooney confirmed his place as a key part of Chicago's passing attack going forward. He will return as an important piece of a Bears team still in search of additional playmakers for Justin Fields.